Okay, here we go.
There you
Okay,
go.
yeah, we go. Yes. Oh, good morning or afternoon or evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Welcome once again to Renew Your Spirit. I am your host, Lynn Gaffin, and today I have with me Pam Patalano from Preston, Connecticut. We're in Connecticut today. Last week we were in Hawaii, so today we're in Connecticut.
Griswold, Connecticut.
Griswold, Connecticut.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry about that.
that's okay. Next door.
Pam she's an environmental activist. She's a Democratic registrar of voters in Griswold. She's a holistic practitioner. She's an artist, a mom. She's a founder and chairman of Save the Patchogue Forest. She's a justice of the peace. She's a host and program facilitator at Awakened Soul Stories, which is pretty much what I'm doing here, only she does it person to person. She is owner and working at the Tree of Life Healing Center. Pam, what do you do for your time off? I mean,
There is no time off.
welcome. Nice to have you with me today.
Thank you.
You are a busy person, my goodness.
Yes, I don't sit still much, but that's okay. But thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you being here. I know we've had you at church, and you're an excellent medium. And I would like to know how you got started with working with spirit, and how do you apply it to all of this that you do?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
So, I was born this way. I remember probably 3 years old, the earliest, waking up and, there's 20 people standing in my bedroom. And of course, it's a little frightening at first. In the way that I got messages back then, it was very telepathic. So if somebody wanted to tell me something, I would hear it as opposed to their mouth moving. And that was very confusing for a small child. And then as I got older, it was more, auditory. I could hear what they were saying. And then it turned into seeing, getting messages from spirit and symbols and, all kinds of things like that. They put me on a path that I resisted for a very long time, only because I didn't understand it. I didn't know where it was coming from.
Right.
In the physical world, it wasn't what I wanted to do. So. Yeah. But you know better than anybody that when you argue with them, they just keep putting you on the path until you just give up and say, okay. And basically, that's what I did. I finally just gave in because I was tired of fighting with them. And by them, I mean, the angels and all kinds of spirits that would come in and tell me that I had to do other things than what I wanted to do. So I've been doing this for quite a while, doing readings for about 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah. Now, is this, did you get this from the family? Does anybody else in your family do this?
Well, I found out about 10 years ago that I had breakfast with my cousin, and my cousin's about 15 years older than me. So he remembers more of the family because my family's considerably older and a lot of them had passed away by the time I was born. But he said that my grandmother, who he called her the psychic of Federal Hill, which is in Providence, Rhode Island. And she did a lot of table tipping and tea leaves and card readings. And I was totally surprised by that because my grandfather and his father were very, stern and very conservative. And, they wanted everybody to go to college. So my father has a master's degree and, he does dowsing. And I didn't remember that right away. But then I remembered, being in the woods with him with his dowsing rods or the tree leaves. So it was passed down from my grandmother to my father. A couple of my cousins have it. A couple of my kids have it. So yeah.
Gee. So when you first started having all these experiences as a child, did you tell your parents or whatever, and how did they accept it?
Well, we're talking 1968. So I told them I was hearing a lot of voices. And of course, they thought I had schizophrenia. So
Yeah.
they put me on some kind of medication, which my mother deemed as bad girl medication. And of course, it didn't stop it. I just learned as I got older. I told them when I was 5. But by the time I was 10, I just learned not to tell them anymore that I could hear voices or see things or, anything like that. But yeah, that was an interesting time.
So they didn't accept it at all.
No,
That's
no.
too bad, really, that you have to learn to, at that age, you have to learn to more or less lie by omission to your
Right. But I
parents.
mean,
Yeah.
you're brought up strict Italian Catholic. It's, you don't do things like that, even though my grandmother did it. I guess that's, it was kind of interesting, but yeah, you just learn to keep it in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you finally learned, as you were growing up, did you keep it? Did you keep it, or did you let it go? Because I know a lot of kids, as they get into the world, so to speak, they let it go for a while.
Well, I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't understand it. I knew that I knew things, before they would happen. Most times it was like that. There was an incident probably when I was about 6 years old, and we were living in this town called Warwick, Rhode Island, and we had a pool. And I remember having a dream that there was a big sinkhole in the pool. And I was terrified to go in it the next day when I woke up, because all I could think of was like that, it was right near the filter. It was going to suck me in.
Oh,
And so I told my mother, and she's like, yeah, you're making that up. It's not true. And then lo and behold, we went in the pool that day, and there was a big sinkhole. But
really?
it was things like that kept happening over and over and over again. And, I think after a while she became afraid. She became afraid.
Afraid of
So,
it, yeah.
and you associate fear with that when you're, when you're a little kid and you're growing up, because, I was very different than my friends. Like I said, I would know things that were going to happen before they happened. I would have people come in my room and talk to me. So, you think you're crazy, but you're not. So it took a long time. I mean, I was probably well into my 20s before I, started reading up on it and trying to understand it. I had never been to a psychic or a medium or anything like that before. And it was difficult to be around large crowds of people because I couldn't shut out the voice and the noise and the images that would come through all the time. So I was probably, I would say 40 when I started using it, really using it.
Yeah. Now, did you have to go to any class or anything to learn how to control it and block it, or did you?
No, you know what I did? I made appointments with many psychics, okay? And just because I wanted to understand what I could do. And just by observing them, and the genuine ones and the charlatans, which we all know are out there, and I would end up doing readings for them in the reading.
Really?
And they would still charge me. So that was always interesting. And so that's how I learned. I never really took any classes. I started using tarot cards, which was that was really difficult for me. And not that I'm dyslexic, but the cards, looking at them on the table, I didn't understand what the images meant.
Right.
Because I could already connect with the person and get that information, so there was really no reason. So after a year, I'm like, heck with the cards, and I threw them out. And so I'm very connected, so I'll just touch their hands and connect into their energy, and it gives me all the information like a film strip.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how I usually do it. And
Yeah. Now you say your kids have it?
yeah, a
That's
couple
good.
of my kids, my oldest daughter, she's going to kill me for saying this, because she doesn't use it at all. But I remember we were living in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and there was a car chase and a really bad accident at the bottom of our road. And the police were having a difficult time figuring out like who was driving the car, because somebody had gotten ejected, and I don't remember all the details
Right.
of it, but I remember she woke up the next morning to tell me that she saw the kid that was driving the car, and he had turned his face to look at her, and like it was all bone because he had ripped the skin off his face.
Ooh.
And he was the one driving the car, and that's what she remembers. And then a couple of times we went to friends' houses, and she would tell me that there's like people sitting in the rocking chair upstairs, and different things like that. So I hope she doesn't watch this. She's not going to be happy with me.
Now, was she able to tell the police this?
No, because it was more information that they needed, so she wouldn't have gone. I did. I ended up helping
Did
the
you?
police work on this case, and yeah, and the kid that they thought was driving the car, he was in jail because they thought he caused the accident when he really wasn't the one driving. So they let him out of jail after 4 months.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah, so
you do work with the police?
I have in the past. I haven't recently, but back probably about 10 years ago when I was living in Rhode Island. Yep.
It's good to know that they're open to it.
Absolutely. In fact, I had John LaCrosse on my show because he was the chief of police in Barrington, Rhode Island, and the Journal and the Associated Press had written an article about him, and it happened to come across my news feed years ago, like 3 years ago, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, the cops are actually using psychics and believe in them, and it was so exciting, and I had shared it with everybody, and he had contacted me, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and said, do you do readings? I didn't know who it was, but once he sat down at the table, I was like, I know who you are. I was so excited to meet him. It was just crazy how that happened, but yeah, he was the guy.
That's neat. That's I think, they really are missing out on something if they don't accept the help, and a lot of them don't, and they're missing out on the help that they could use.
Right. But you know what? We have to just sit back and hold space and wait for them.
Yeah.
We have to do.
Yeah. I know. Let me see. How you coming with whatever happened with the forest,
With I'm sorry.
the Patchogue forest?
Oh, we won that fight.
Did you?
And again, that was, divinely inspired, because about 2 weeks before, I didn't even know about this. I had just moved here, so I had no idea what was going on. I just happened to hear about it. But a couple of weeks before that, I was doing a meditation, and they kept saying, be prepared. You have a big fight on your hands. And I had no idea what they were talking about. I thought maybe it was one of the kids. I had no idea. And they said, you're going to need a tribe. And I was a little confused by that. So I said, okay, and show me. And they just kept saying, not yet. And I remember watching it on, I think I either read it in the paper or I was watching an article on Facebook from the next town over about how the state of Connecticut was trying to come in and take the Patchogue Forest for their gun range. And it was a huge deal. And I don't know, and normally I wouldn't have ever done this, but when they said it was coming to Griswold, I said, oh no, it's not. And, before I knew it, within a week, we had, 120 people behind us. It was crazy. I still like laugh about that. People are, how come you took that on? And I'm like, if I really told you, you wouldn't believe me. So, but we won. We actually won. Governor Lamont was adamant about not putting it in Griswold. And he made a campaign promise. We did an interview with him, and he said it on television, and January 25th of 2019, I got the phone call, and it was his aide, and he said, "You sitting down?" And I said, "I am," because I was driving. So, and he said, he goes, "Governor Lamont just did a press conference about this, and he said that the gun range isn't going in Griswold." And I was just like,
Oh, wow.
wow,
Yeah.
3 years. It was 3 years long.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. I
But
remember that. Yep.
yeah, so
That's great. Yeah.
yeah,
See, yeah.
it
It's a beautiful place. I've never been, but I've seen pictures, and I know Richard Turpey goes
oh
there
yeah,
all the time. And
yeah.
yeah,
He was a
and
big advocate for me. He was
yeah,
always calling me up, cheering me on.
he's another one I'd like to get on this show, but he won't come.
Oh no, he won't even come on mine either.
So tell me about the whatever prompted you to start the Tree of Life, or to get into the Tree of Life,
You mean my office?
the healing center.
Well, because in the beginning when I was doing readings, I was all over the place. I was driving everywhere,
Oh,
New York, Massachusetts, Boston, here. It was just a lot because I had kids, and so I decided to open it's a little center up. So we do meditations, and we teach meditations as workshops here. I do the majority of my readings here. I was located in Jewett City, and then I also had an office in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, for my Rhode Island and Massachusetts clients. And it was just a lot. And I was trying to get into Mystic for a long time, but the prices were outrageous.
mm-hmm.
And just lo and behold, what a surprise. In March, I saw a location, and the price was less than I was paying for both of my offices. And I was like, what? This is crazy. All right. So I went down, and they're like, yeah, you can have it. I was just, all right.
Wow, great.
Yeah. So the energy is so different down here, because you're near the water, and it's just, people are happy. It's a happy place to be.
Tourists, you get a lot of tourists?
No, because I don't advertise. I don't even have a sign outside.
Oh, okay.
So I'm strictly word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
And the first week I opened up, I had 17 appointments.
Oh my gosh, really?
It was just crazy. But good,
Yep.
interesting people are coming by my table. So I like that.
Now, do you read over the phone?
I do, over the phone or Zoom.
Yeah. Yep.
Those. That's not my favorite way, because I like being face to face with somebody, but
Right.
it's energy is energy.
I was thinking if people, from another part of the country or anything like that would go,
Oh, they do. I have clients in Ireland and
Oh, okay.
California, Ohio. They're all Florida. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Now, how do they find you?
word of mouth, relatives.
Do you have a Facebook page or a web page?
I don't have a website, no. That's just another thing I can't maintain right now. So yeah, it's the Tree of Life Healing Center page. They can get in touch with me there. And that's what a lot of people do. They'll send me a private message.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about your awakened soul stories. How that started and.
Okay. So another. Oh my gosh. So another. I was in another meditation, and I asked. Because I had just lost the state rep race. I was running for state rep. I just lost that race, and I was kind of in the middle of looking for, or I'm working for the state, but I was looking for a new job, and just there was a lot of changes going on, and I asked, of course, my guides. I said, I need a little help here. I just need to know, what direction to go in. And the first word that pops up is podcast. And I was podcast. But am I doing a podcast, or am I on a podcast? And who am I supposed to be doing the podcast with? These are all the questions I'm asking because I'm laughing. And they said, Michael. And I said, now I know you're kidding, because Mike would never do that in a million years. And then I got silence. And I said, who do I have on the podcast? And it was so funny because it said your friends, and it kept repeating your friends, your friends, your friends, your friends. And some of my friends would do it and some of my friends wouldn't. So I made a short list of 12 people. I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, there was no guidance. There was just, you need to do this. So I made a list, and I'm looking at the list for a few days. I kind of left it on my nightstand, and my biggest hurdle was asking Mike. So,
Really?
well, because I didn't think he would ever do anything like this. And so I asked him, and he said, okay. I was just like, oh my God. And then I went down to the studio and said, hey, do we have any space? What do you have? Oh yeah, I have Monday at 6 o'clock. Does that work for you? I was like, okay. So I called the 12 people on my list, and 11 of the 12 said yes right away, except for Rich, which is okay. And so I had a lineup for almost 3 months.
Yeah.
And now I have the next phase of lineups that are coming up. So we're on our 10th show. And basically, and it kind of like morphed into what it is, and it's about helping people to awaken and exposing them to people that are awakened, so that we know that we're not, stuck here in this physical plane where there's so much anger and divisiveness and all kinds of things like that. And we're supposed to be, reaching that critical mass, which they said it's amplifying. So it's getting there quickly, obviously with COVID and, the past election and all this stuff that's coming up. And, our job is to help sway humanity in the other direction and to bring in some light and happiness and joy and all of that. To get away from that divisiveness and that anger that seems to be permeating the air that we breathe. So if I think about it in human terms, it's scary, because like, why do I have to do that? Why can't somebody else do that?
Yeah, I know.
But when you just kind of look at it like 1 week at a time, it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Now it's just the people are calling me. I want to be on your show. I want to be on your show. Okay. All right. I'm just taking it 1 week at a time, but it's so exciting.
Yeah, I know. That's about the way my idea came too. One night I couldn't sleep and I'm just laying there, and all of a sudden it was like, do something on television, like, interview people on television. Okay.
Right.
My bent on it is to bring in as much the different types of spirituality, because there's so much out there.
Right.
And how people work, and what they believe in that, and to kind of bring it out and explain it to other people so that they understand it and know that they're there.
Right. But, so they're not afraid.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It really is.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, there's all different, we have all different modalities on, and people, all different kinds of people, and I think it's important to expose other people to the goodness in the world, and the different opportunities that are out there.
I do too.
There's a lot of them.
It's fun, and really, it was until I got going on this, I wasn't aware of some of them. Now, do you meditate a lot?
I do. I try to meditate at least once a day.
Do you?
Yeah. My mind never stops. I don't sleep. So, next best thing is meditation.
Now, how long are your meditations?
It depends. I mean, sometimes, 10 minutes, sometimes an hour. It depends how much time I have, or, when I'm awake at 2:30 in the morning and there's nothing else to do. Then I'll meditate. I'll just go within. Yeah.
It's amazing what they come up with when we get out of the way and let them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if we don't, they just push us out of the way.
Yeah. They'll tap you a couple of times, and if you don't get it, then they'll hit you over the head with a brick. I heard somebody say that once, and I thought, that's about it. They want
Yeah.
you to know, they'll let you, yeah.
Yep, they will.
Now, do you have any of your kids on your show?
Not yet. No, I haven't had any of them. They're all over the place.
Mm,
They're
okay.
not here. My son's in school on Monday night, so he doesn't come on, but my daughters live, one's in Montana, one's in Boston, the other one's
Okay.
going to San Francisco, so they're not,
Yeah.
you know, they're not here.
Now, how do you apply your spirituality or what you know to your job?
Ooh, which job?
Pick one.
Okay. So I work for the Department of Health, and I work in the COVID tracing unit. I'm a supervisor there. And, before I did that, I was doing some tracing, and it was interesting because you have to, kindness and compassion and empathy are so important when you're dealing with people that are scared.
Mm,
And these are people that, are COVID positive, and, some are really sick. And it's just about reassuring them and being able to do that because, and mean it, and they can feel it, whether it's over the phone or
course.
in person. So, that part of it was really important to do, and it's very humbling. And I suspect that's why I'm there,
Mhm.
just to be brought back down to the humbling position.
Right. Yeah.
So I really enjoy that. And when I was running for state rep in this past November, that part was, my campaign was basically based on no partisan, no party. So I'm a Democrat, but it was like I work with all sides,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some of my Democratic friends didn't like that too much, but that's okay. It didn't matter, and that's what I was supposed to do. And I knew that, and I wasn't going to be swayed from my values or my moral compass because it made somebody else uncomfortable.
Right.
Because I really believe that in order for us to, let's all get along kind of thing,
Right.
we need to do that because there's so much, and I felt it. There was so much anger and hate. And even when I lost my opponent, who's a Democrat as well, because I lost the primary, people were, I can't believe that you're being so gracious and you're helping him. And, this is, I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I didn't understand, like, what was I supposed to do? Be angry
Right.
and mean and throw barbs at him? Like, that's not who I am as a person. And I would have never done anything like that. And I don't think my guys would have allowed me to do anything like that, even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because, that was not part of the plan. Even if I lost, it still set an example for other people.
Now,
So
when you're working with these people who are sick and that, do you feel their energy around them? Do you feel their guides, their people from the other side coming to them?
sometimes I do. I try not to be so invasive with that because I don't really have their permission.
Okay.
So obviously some of them are pretty strong and come through anyway. But I just, there's still rules, even though they're unwritten, there's still rules. I just try to be as empathetic as possible and compassionate as possible, and treat everybody like I would want to be treated in that situation, even if they're cranky. And a lot of them were cranky because they're, they've been sick for 5 days, and
Yeah.
you just have to listen. Sometimes that's all they needed, was somebody to listen.
Oh, but does that drain you?
No, because I ground myself pretty well. Yeah, I'm not gonna let that drain me, because I'm dealing with 50 people a day. I would be I would be a wet dish rag.
Right. Because a lot of times when people are sick, that's when they drain your energy because they need it, and it can leave you depleted. Psychic vampires is what they can call.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I think mostly, it's funny you say that, because I think of psychic vampires, and I've met quite a few in my life, because they're attracted to that energy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's intentional. It's not a subconscious thing. It's an intentional thing, I
You think
think.
so?
Yes. Yes,
Hmm.
I do. And these people that are sick and you know, that we talk to every day, for them, I mean, they don't know anything about me, you know,
Right.
so for that to be intentional for them, I don't think so. I never felt that way.
Okay.
You know, it just felt, there's a lot of sadness involved in it, you know, because people are obviously dying and in the hospital, and just so much sadness. So you have to kind of separate yourself out from the emotional aspect of it, because if you don't, it will drain you. But if you can manage to do that, because you have to do that in your readings anyway.
Right.
You know, if I emotionally attach myself to my clients, man,
Right. Yeah.
I would never be able to drive home.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes.
yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's true. I know that you mentioned it, because I used to do home care and that, and some of the people that I took care of were really, really in bad shape and that. And you have to, you like you say, you have to separate yourselves from it. You go in and do your job and you leave, and you're
Right.
yeah, you
Exactly.
understand that. Yeah.
With compassion, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. But you can't go in, you can't get into whatever it is that their energy,
No. You leave
because
yourself
otherwise
behind.
it'll drag you right down.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I don't sleep enough as it is.
Now, do you teach?
Depends what you talking about teaching, in what aspect.
You teach mediumship?
I do. I teach people how to use their intuitive and psychic abilities, or tap into it, and then learn how to use it. Yes.
Okay. Now, you teach them the rules. I mean, because like you say, you know, it's not just reading for somebody. There are rules and of do's and don'ts.
Right. First, do no
Regarding,
harm. Just like a doctor. First, do no harm. You know, and if you're going into this with the intention, you know, that you want to take somebody's free will away,
right.
then you're not in the right, you know, you don't belong here. You don't belong doing this work.
And you got to get your ego out of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've seen so many people, their ego is just, look what I'm doing. And it's like, no.
No. Look what I'm channeling. That's what
Yes.
it comes through me, not
Yeah,
from me.
yeah. Yep. Now you say you're not sleeping is it because do they bother you at night, the spirits?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes they do. It's not a bother. It's just, you know, that's when they want to talk. But I mean, it's very difficult for me to shut my brain off. And the images that come through, it's constant. It's just like I'm watching a movie all the time. And
Really?
on top of that, there's always music in the background. I hear music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Really?
Never stop. And it's all kinds of music, always. So so I sleep a little bit, but then, you know, it's like I'm when 2:30 in the morning, I'm wide awake. So I might as well just read or meditate, or, you know, make a plan. That's when I do my best planning, is
Really?
in the
Is
middle
it?
of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Now,
I'm not tired.
yeah, I know. I do the same thing, only I haven't started planning it. I should probably do something constructive at 3 in the morning. Do you know your guides' names?
Well, I work a lot with Archangel Michael and Mother Mary, those two, for sure. And I have this old woman, and I don't know her name, and she won't give it to me, but I suspect it's probably my great grandmother, who is like always has her hand on my shoulder, you know. But those are the three that are very, very strong. And owls, always owls everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Now, are they the ones that they give you your messages, or do they direct the ones that come in to give you your messages?
Most times I get my messages from them. There's occasions where I'll hear a different voice, or I'll see like things are very symbolic. Obviously, you kind of know that, right? So they'll show me like a series of symbols, and it's funny because a lot of them times they're like Egyptian hieroglyphics. And I know what they mean, and I can't read Egyptian. I have no idea, but I know what they're trying to tell me. And sometimes it's they'll take me, I'll go on like an out of the body experience kind of thing, or astral travel, and they'll take me what they want to show me. And it's always in the future.
Oh.
And I'm looking at it going like, I don't know what this means. I haven't been here before. And then I'll look around and I'm like, oh yeah, yes, I have. But I've been here before. So, but that's kind of how it is, we travel a lot.
Yeah, I guess so. You and Rich ought to get together and take a trip.
I know. It's fun though. I love it.
Yeah, I would really love to learn how to do that. What was I going to say? There's I completely forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay.
Oh, I know what it was. See, they're talking to me now too. Your mediumship is changing.
It's evolved from the time I was small. I mean, probably about 7 times it's evolved, and every single time, like when I was a small child, it was very telepathic. So I would be in a room full of adults and I could hear what they were thinking, all of them, and I would repeat stuff and get in trouble because I wasn't supposed to know that. I didn't know that, but I know that now. And then as I got a little bit older, it was almost as if I could set an intention and make something happen.
Oh, really?
And that was scary. So I don't know if that was good or bad, but I didn't like that part of it, because if I got angry, it was never good. And then as I got older, I remember, I don't know, probably in my teens, it was very prophetic. So, I went parking with one of my this boy I was dating. I was probably 18, and we were in one of the schools in Cranston, Rhode Island, and it was nighttime, and there was a car parked in front of us. And I said to him, it was there for a while, and I said, we should check on those people. And he said, why would we do that? I said, because what if they died from asphyxiation, right? And that's what I said. And he's like, oh, we're not going to, like, he didn't know what I did. And I didn't even know what I did at that point. And the next morning on the news, they found 2 bodies in that car because those people died of asphyxiation. I was like, oh
gosh.
So it was, and with him, I was with him for about 5 years, and I can't tell you how many times stuff like that happened. It was crazy. And that was scary because it was never anything good. Never.
Oh,
never anything good. So, but after that, I kind of put it away for a little while, and, you're in your 20s, you're drinking, you're partying, and, it was always terrible stuff that would come in. And that was scary. And obviously, because I allowed it to come in, because I wasn't, exactly living a stellar life. And then after I had my kids, it changed again. And then I could do psychometry, so I could touch objects and tell you all about it. And then after that, it was, I was doing the readings one-on-one. I would tap into the energy. And then it was, I could smell things and taste things and hear things, see things. And then it evolved even further. About 5 years ago, I was doing a healing for a friend of Mike's, and he was at the house with me, and I had my hands on his shoulders. And he was going for some diagnostic testing the next day because he wasn't feeling well. And he said, all right, why don't we try this? Because he finally gave in. And so I did, and I was doing a healing on him. And the next thing I know, they're pulling me into his body, like right into his esophagus. And I'm looking around going, okay, this is different. And they took me all the way into his prostate and showed me that he had a tumor wrapped around the nerve in his prostate, and that it wasn't going to be operable. So when I came out, I must have had some look on my face, because first of all, I was just like blown away by that. And second of all, he said, what happened? And I said, they told me I could tell him. So I did. And I said, you have a tumor on your prostate. And I said, they're not going to be able to operate. And he's like, okay. He goes, I'll talk to my doctor about it tomorrow. And when he went, he called me that day, and he told me that's what the doctor found.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's been very interesting. And because, you don't know I don't know the words that go along with these body parts that they're
Right.
showing me. And now they actually tell me, they'll tell me what it is so that
Oh.
I don't have to look it up in my Grey's Anatomy book. Because I bought a Grey's Anatomy book and I bought a medical intuitive book so that I could understand what was happening, because it changed again. So now it's I can sit with somebody and tell them, I can look at all their vitamin levels, I can look
Oh
at
my
their heart
Lord.
rate, their blood pressure, and their endorphins and their hormone levels, and it puts it up like a chart.
Oh
And
my
it tells me which
gosh.
ones are high and which ones are low. It's
Wow.
crazy. And what they should be eating, what they're allergic to. It's just absolutely amazing. So that's why I say, like, you have to look at it like really myopically, as opposed to
Yeah.
stepping back and go,
Right.
oh boy, I don't know about this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. Even my daughter's boyfriend, fiance, who's a doctor, he's an ER doctor in Rhode Island. She sent me a picture of his father and said, what's going on, his grandfather, and what's going on with him. And so I told her, and she said, yeah. She goes, you're right. I was like, so
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so that's an interesting new I don't know what else they can add. I don't know that I need anything else, but
There's nothing left, is there?
I don't know. But it's interesting anyway, and I'm honored to do the work for sure.
That's fantastic. That's beautiful, Pam, really. That's
Well,
quite
thank
a
you.
gift. Oh my gosh.
Yes, yeah. I don't know that I ever want to see inside somebody's prostate again, but if it happens, so be it.
Oh my gosh. Well, so when you're with a group of people now, you can shut yourself off?
I do. I don't necessarily have to. Sometimes
No,
I do.
but you can.
I
I
can.
mean, wouldn't you think, isn't it for your own safety, really, your own comfort to do that? To shut yourself off?
It depends where I am. If I'm in a really large crowd, then it's hard for me. It's hard for me to go to a concert. It's hard for me to be in like a parade or any kind of environment like that. It's so difficult because there's so much coming in that I have to shut it off. Because if I don't, I would probably pass out literally, because I can feel like
We're losing your
can you hear me now?
you sound like you're talking through a tin can.
I don't know. Am I losing something here?
I don't know.
Oh, let me show my volumes up. Is that better?
No. It's that's okay.
I can hear you okay.
We're we're about out of time anyway. I love this. It's nothing is absolutely perfect, and that's the way it should be, because it just is.
Right. I agree. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
No, same.
Oh, geez.
That's a little bit better, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome back.
Oh, hello.
That's funny. It's it's computers. We need to get a hold of the guide who works with computers and have them come and help us at times.
I suspect Archangel Michael has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, he does. So I think this is fascinating, Pam. I had no idea you were as advanced as you were. I knew you were a fantastic medium, but I didn't know that you had all these other side hustles going along for you.
I just hide it well. I don't want to embarrass my kids.
But I think that's fantastic. My Lord, you could write a book.
Eventually.
Have you thought of writing a book?
Oh yeah, I have. I just haven't had the, time to sit down and actually get things out. But I will.
2:30 in the morning is good.
Probably. I'm busy making plans though.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot. Oh, gosh. This has been fun, Pam. Thanks so much. I really,
Oh,
this has been great.
well, it's nice to hear you laugh.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon, and I really appreciate it all.
Oh, thank
And
you. Thank you for
good
having
luck
me.
with your awakened stories, and we'll
Thank
just keep
you.
plodding along. Yeah,
Yeah, same to you. Let's change the world.
absolutely. One step at a time.
Yep.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you, Pam. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Lynn. Take
Yeah,
care.
you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.